What's up, baby? Today's show is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Yeah, we talking about proper preparation. We're talking about trying to be better at life. How can we improve, right? Whether we're talking about just as an individual, how do we improve if we're talking about in the job space? I mean, whether we're talking about just all the different ways to be prepared for the next step, for that next task. Southern New Hampshire University and some of these online degree programs that they are offering. Come on, baby. You can't beat this. And they have super competitive low tuition rates that are, like I said, going to prepare you for whatever your next steps might be as it pertains to your professional career. It's not too late. I mean, shoot, what you waiting on? I mean, you're watching me, but what you waiting on? Come on, man. You see the link right there, right? snhu.edu/Arthur Moats. Tap in and go out here and get a chance to prepare yourself for greatness. But now it's time for regularly scheduled programming. Shador went to the Senior Bowl, but I guess they said didn't participate. Or he was there that first day or one of them days. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do anything at the Senior Bowl.
I would agree. For like him, Cam Ward, yeah, what we doing? Yeah, we know what you are.
You're just going to be hurting your stock.
Low key, yeah.
I don't see Will Howard.
That's actually an interesting one.
I don't think he's got to be there either. You can't do any better than how you just ended the season.
Okay, that's true.
I wouldn't go either. I would say just look at those 4 playoff games. That's all you need to see.
You see my tape, man. I'm standing on my strip of my tape, man. But I think of because obviously we know when it was Kenny, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, all them dudes like Sam Howell, all those dudes played in the Senior Bowls in the East West that one time. So I'm like, man, Will, you're not the Shador and the Cam Ward of this convo. Like,
I'm not gonna front though.
Yeah.
The more I watch of Will Howard,
mm-hmm.
I don't know why he's not in the conversation with those two. I don't know why he's not only a lock to be a first rounder, but being talked about being like a top 10 pick in the same class as Shador Sanders and Cam Ward.
The only thing I could think of was if they were to say that his overall offense that he plays in. Obviously, we're talking about Jeremiah Smith as, this guy could come out here and play in the NFL today. But then you also got Emeka Egbuka, who, people are projecting as a first rounder. We see the defense that they have and all the other pieces around. I don't want to go defense, but just all the other pieces that they have just on their offense in comparison to Colorado, where we would highlight, your offensive line in Colorado isn't the best. We would highlight, hey, Miami, man, y'all look good because Cam Ward. But as soon as he came out the game, we all saw what that looked like. Also, I just think with Ohio State, we kind of feel that they would still be good if it wasn't necessarily Will Howard there, whereas we don't feel like Miami or Colorado is as good if those two dudes specifically aren't there. But I could be off, though.
No, I was going to say a few things with that. I mean, you got to think they had Kyle McCord last year.
Yeah,
and they were 100% willing to move off him. They didn't think he was good enough. And everyone's considering him now one of these, like, trendy picks.
Dude,
day 2.
Yeah.
Had a decent year at Syracuse. But in terms of, like, playing with NFL talent, Joe Burrow did, too, down in LSU. Now, his numbers were god here. He was the Heisman, but Will Howard wasn't asked to throw as many attempts as Joe Burrow, though, either, like, in terms of, like, what he was asked to do. And you look at what he was capable of in the playoffs, it's hard for me to imagine if he was throwing more on his plate that he wouldn't be excelling. And my big comparison, too, is if you look back at another guy that wasn't asked to do, like, a ton to the degree of Joe Burrow or, like, other guys that have won Heismans and have a ton of passing attempts, ton of passing yards, J.J. McCarthy last year.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the top 10.
No, that's real. That's definitely real, man.
And Will Howard, I think, was asked to do more in this Ohio State scheme compared to what J.J. McCarthy was asked to do at Michigan last year.
No, I could definitely dig that. Man.
And he had a whole playoff gauntlet to go through.
No, that's real.
Like what does he do bad? I every time I watch him, like, the arm's there, he's accurate, and then he can run the ball. I don't think
it's necessarily that he does anything
good size.
Bad. I think that it's almost the Stetson Bennett argument. Once again, the pieces that are around you are viewed at a high level, so they naturally will just detract his talent, his greatness in it. But it's like, you still got to do it. You still got to be out there making those plays. And that was the argument that people have for Stetson Bennett. And I'm sure the people that are supportive of Will Howard, those are the arguments, that kind of follow him in that stance right there. But trust me, man. This is one of them ones, man.
In terms of his upside, way higher than Stetson Bennett.
No, that's fair too.
Stetson Bennett's just you look at him, and you're like, yeah, he's a college quarterback, almost like Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I think both. Like as we continue to get further into it, we're gonna start to see a little bit more about what separates these guys from others. Even as we start to look at some of these wide receivers more and more, and just the different position groups, we're gonna get a lot more information on them. We're gonna get into this convo even more. Just give me a second, real quick.
Yeah, because I even watched some of the stuff at Kansas State. Obviously, it was more of a running style, but he was making all the same accurate passes and stuff that we saw at Ohio State over this last year.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that even more. So let's get this ad real quick so that way we don't get in trouble with the sponsors, man. So shout out to the sponsors. So one moment, please. What's up, baby? Today's show is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Yeah. We talking about proper preparation. We're talking about trying to be better at life. How can we improve, right? Whether we're talking about just as an individual, how do we improve if we're talking about in the job space? I mean, whether we're talking about just all the different ways to be prepared for the next step, for that next task. Southern New Hampshire University and some of these online degree programs that they are offering. Come on, baby. You can't beat this. And they have super competitive low tuition rates that are, like I said, going to prepare you for whatever your next steps might be as it pertains to your professional career. It's not too late. I mean, shoot, what you waiting on? I mean, you're watching me, but what you waiting on? Come on, man. You see the link right there, right? snhu.edu/Arthur Moats. Tap in and go out here and get a chance to prepare yourself for greatness. But now it's time for regularly scheduled programming. All righty. But back to the conversation, though, man. I'm with you. Will Howard definitely has a lot more upside than Dagon Stetson Bennett had coming out of Georgia. Whether you're talking the size, whether you're talking running ability, and even arm strength, arm talent, however we want to, use a word to, I guess, highlight that, we would definitely be on the same page with that. But Stetson, that was a big argument for him because he won a ton. He had a nice, in terms of his statistics, that looked good. But in terms of just the overall how he was getting it was like, hey, man, you got a lot of elite pieces around you right now, man.
A lot of Will Howard haters in the chat.
They don't like Will Howard in the chat?
If anything, that just goes to further my point. Whoever gets him, I think it's going to be an absolute steal. How can you be talking up like Jackson Dart and Kyle McCord?
They don't like Will.
And downplaying a Will Howard. It just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Hey, look what I missed. I don't like Will. That's interesting.
Whatever, man. That
is interesting, Deke. I'm with you. I'm like, even the more I watch him, even if it's directly watching him or indirectly watching him, or watching receiving stuff like that, it's like, dude makes a ton of plays, man. Like, he improvises on occasion. At least from what I've seen in the two games, it's like I'm gonna watch more of him. But yeah, I don't get the hate towards it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see it right now, and especially how we felt watching the national championship and the semifinals. It's like, yo, I thought he played well in the playoffs. So, yeah.
And going back to that Joe Burrow conversation, I looked at their yards per attempt because, again, Will Howard didn't have as many attempts in that Ohio State system as what Joe Burrow did with LSU, but obviously both were surrounded by a ton of NFL talent. And, the yards per attempt, it's not too far off. It's really not too far. Yeah. So I'm just saying if Will Howard had 100 more attempts like Joe Burrow did, we're talking about him winning the Heisman. Yeah. But, again, they had those two running backs. They obviously had the good receivers and all that. So,
different approach.
He didn't have to go all out. It was a little bit more of the J.J. McCarthy approach, but obviously we saw Will Howard really step up in the playoffs. Yeah. And that 4 teams in a row in the top 10. Balled out in all of them. What was he, 15 for 15 in the national championship? I don't get why this is getting overlooked. Especially, too, it's not like he doesn't have upside. He's 6'4", obviously has an arm, has running ability.
I'm going to go watch that Michigan game and see what, maybe we feel different because of that one. Maybe that's it. Because that was probably the last one that was the last time they lost. Yeah, it was Michigan. And that's when everybody wanted to fire Ryan Day. That's when it was.
Then you saw how he responded.
I'm with you. I thought he handled the adversity well. So yeah, I'm like.
From what I heard too, it wasn't even as much on him as opposed to the play calling and the game plan. They just ran way too much. They just focused on trying to be physical and show Michigan that Ohio State's this tough team.
Hey, shout out to OH, man. Yeah.
I think that's what they were trying. And it played
I
right
can see
into
that.
Michigan's favor because they
Yeah, I
were
can
trying
see
to
that.
muddy up the game. They didn't have as much talent as
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Yeah, make it a phone booth. I
Right.
can see that. X Concepts, not X Concept. Richard R. Beasley, he says he likes Will Howard. Remix says Will Howard is not that bad or not bad. Okay. Now Frank K says Will Howard will be a 24-year-old rookie. Dude is maxed out. Now, I don't have an issue.
Isn't that what
That's
Jaden
Jaden Daniels. I was about to say,
Joe
yeah,
Burrow,
I don't have an issue with the
Michael
older
Penix.
guy. That's part of why we kind of looking at them and saying, man, maybe it is a better idea to let these dudes be a little bit older because you get past a little bit of the uncertainty of can he get his floor high enough to understand the NFL offense and let alone trying to, be a leader of men. It's a little bit easier at 24 than it is at 22.